you just inherited a house in North Carolina and you don't live here, this video is for you. Managing an inherited property from out of state is one of the most challenging situations a family can face throughout the probate process. But there is a clear path forward and you can navigate most of it from exactly where you are. Stay with me. Let me start by acknowledging something. If you're watching this from another state, dealing with a house in North Carolina that you can't easily get to, you're carrying something most people don't fully understand. The distance makes everything harder. Every decision requires either a trip or a phone call to someone you've likely never met and aren't even sure you can trust. My name is Ryan Smith. I'm a licensed realtor and certified probate expert. And every day I work alongside families navigating probate and estate administration. I work regularly with out-of-state heirs managing inherited property in southeastern North Carolina. I know what you're dealing with, and I know what can actually help you make this situation a lot easier and hopefully less stressful. In this video, I'm going to walk you through the specific challenges of managing an inherited house from a distance, what you can do right now without making the long drive or getting on a plane, and what your realistic options are for the property. Let's get into it. And let me name what you're actually dealing with, because one of the most frustrating things about this situation is that the people around you, including other family members and heirs, often don't fully understand what it involves. The property is sitting empty, possibly or usually for months, while the estate gets sorted out. You can't easily check on it. You can't see what shape it's in. You can't drive over and make sure everything's okay. And every time a decision needs to be made, you're either booking a flight or trying to find someone local you trust enough to act on your behalf. Meanwhile, the carrying costs don't stop. If there's a mortgage, the mortgage payments keep coming. There's property taxes, there's homeowners insurance. All of that keeps running whether the estate is moving forward and getting closer to closing or not. And if you are the personal representative, you're carrying the legal responsibility for all of it. I'm not saying this to pile it all on. I'm simply naming the reality, which in my experience is the first step to actually dealing with this entire thing efficiently. So there is a clear path forward, and allow me to walk you through that now. Let me start with what you can actually do today, right from where you are. Step one is get a copy of the deed if you've not done so already. The deed's going to tell you everything you need to know now. How the property is titled, who has authority to act. The Register of Deeds in the county where the property is located keeps this on file. In North Carolina, deed records are public records, and so you can request those via online or by mail. Step two is contact the county clerk of court. So this is where probate opens in North Carolina. The clerk can tell you what's been filed, what's required, and what the current status is. In most clerk's offices, can be reached by phone or email. Step three is notify the mortgage lender if there is a mortgage. If there's a loan on the property, the lender needs to know about the death. And this can be done by phone or in writing. Federal law gives heirs certain protections here, which a local North Carolina probate attorney can walk you through. Step four is to contact the homeowner's insurance carrier. First, confirm that coverage is still active. And then be sure to ask specifically about vacant property coverage, because most standard policies often lapse after 30 to 60 days of the property being vacant. So this is an urgent one. Step five, connect with a local North Carolina probate attorney. To be clear, it's not mandatory to hire an attorney. However, the number one thing that will cost you more time and money throughout the process is usually a result of not knowing what the next step is or taking the wrong step at the wrong time. So I highly recommend speaking with an attorney at least as you're getting started, just to make certain you're on the right track. Many attorneys offer remote consultations, and if you choose to work with an attorney, in most cases, they'll handle all the court filings on your behalf, and you may need to never appear in person. If you don't know one to call, I can connect you with a North Carolina probate attorney who specifically work with out-of-town heirs. Just reach out, I'd be happy to do that. Now let's talk about the property itself. Because a vacant home is a liability that can get worse the longer it sits. Here's what needs to happen and how to make it happen without the hassle of travel. First, the locks need to be changed. A local property manager, a handyman, or a locksmith can handle this typically the same day that you call. My recommendation is connect with a licensed property management company or a real estate professional that you personally can vet online before giving anyone access to the property. Then once you're comfortable with who you're working with, if it's within the scope of the work that they do, they can also document the condition of the property for you. That means providing photos and video of every room, the exterior, any outbuildings, and all that's sent directly to you. And just as a reminder, don't just leave those photos on your phone. Upload those to a secure secondary location or cloud. You'll want to have that record later. Second, confirm that insurance. If the property will be vacant for more than 30 days, and in probate, it often is, standard homeowner policies frequently lapse. So call the insurer now and ask specifically about vacant property coverage. Third, consider a basic security system. A camera or motion sensor can be installed by a local provider and monitored from anywhere on your phone. It can be a fairly inexpensive path to more peace of mind. Fourth is lawn care and exterior maintenance. A property that looks abandoned becomes a target. It can also trigger HOA complaints or local code violations. So regular lawn service is inexpensive and solves this problem entirely. All of this can be arranged with a single phone call. Finding the right people on the ground, that's exactly what I'm here for. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture, what you actually do with the house. We can typically condense it down into 3 different paths, and I want to walk you through each of them from the specific perspective of someone who, like you, isn't local. Path 1 is to sell it. This is the most common outcome in probate, and for out-of-state heirs specifically, it often makes the most practical sense. The selling of the property ends the carrying cost, it ends the need for remote management, and it puts the estate's value in the hands of the heirs rather than tied up in a property that's hours away. In my opinion, here's something worth knowing. A cash offer can often be particularly practical in situations like this. Cash buyers purchase properties as is. Typically no repairs, no showings that you have to coordinate from another state. There's no waiting on a traditional buyer's financing that might fall through in the end anyway. If you're in a position where you want to at least explore those options, on most properties I can bring multiple offers quickly, and the entire selling process can likely happen without you ever needing to be here in person. That said, don't feel rushed to take the first offer that comes your way. Take a pause, review all the numbers, speak with the other heirs, and make an informed decision when the time is right. A traditional listing is also absolutely possible. Most often this is the path to the highest offers, though that doesn't always translate into netting the most amount of money at the closing table. Many families I help at this point would ask me to step in and coordinate the entire process. That means managing the property, preparing the property to look its best before hitting the market, then marketing the property to get the highest offers as quickly as possible. I also would coordinate showings and access to the property and handle the entire process on your behalf. You'd be informed every step of the way without needing to be here. Path number 2 is to keep it. Some heirs want to hold on to the property, either as a future home, an investment, or simply for other family reasons. And that's completely valid. It's something I often will recommend. But needless to say, from out of state, keeping it only works if you have reliable professionals and vendors you can trust here locally. The title still has to be formally transferred through probate, and if multiple heirs are involved, sometimes a buyout is necessary. Path 3 is to rent it. Renting generates ongoing income instead of getting it in a lump sum. For out-of-state owners, this typically only works with a professional property manager handling everything on the ground, including tenant placement, rent collection, maintenance, repairs. I can connect you with vetted property managers in southeastern North Carolina and throughout North Carolina who specialize in working with out-of-state owners. So those are the 3 primary options, and certainly there's no wrong answer. I've worked with families that found the right solution in all 3 of those options. The right choice depends on your situation, your plans, and what the other heirs need or want. Let me talk about the legal piece, because probate in North Carolina has some specific considerations for heirs who don't live here. First, probate in North Carolina opens in the county where the descendant lives, not where the heirs live. So, for example, if the person who passed lived in Wilmington, probate opens in New Hanover County, regardless of where you happen to be. The good news is you don't need to be present for most of the routine probate process. A local North Carolina probate attorney can handle filings, they can appear on your behalf, and they can manage the court process without you trying to figure it out on your own or needing to be here. If you're the personal representative, once letters testamentary are issued by the court, you have the legal authority to act on the estate. And that authority can be used to direct local professionals to act on your behalf here in North Carolina. Now, as a reminder, I'm not an attorney. What I'm sharing here is educational based on my experience of helping families through this situation. And as mentioned earlier, I highly recommend meeting with an attorney that specialized in probate and estate administration, especially as an out-of-town or out-of-state heir trying to navigate another state's court system. If you need one in North Carolina, I can connect you. Just reach out. Here's the biggest challenge I hear from the out-of-state heirs that I work with. It's not the process or even the distance that's the issue. The biggest challenge I often hear is knowing who to trust in a market they've never had to navigate. Because while an attorney can and will make this process much easier, your attorney's focus is primarily on the legal portion of the process. And what I continually hear from people managing probate for the first time is they had no idea how many other things there are to manage and make decisions about to get to the finish line. Most often, here's who you need on the ground in the county where you open probate. A probate attorney, if you've decided to work with one. A realtor who specializes in estate properties, and depending on what you decide, a property manager, a CPA, or both. Most often, here's who you need on the ground in the county where you opened probate. A probate attorney, if you've decided to work with one. A realtor who specializes in estate properties, and depending on what you decide, a property manager, a CPA, or both. Also, regardless of what you decide to do with the property, whether you keep it, sell it, or rent it, until you make that decision and hand off the responsibility to another party, you're also likely going to need a landscaper, security company, locksmith, and oftentimes a handyman or a contractor as things inevitably pop up that need fixing. Wilmington Estate Solutions exists specifically for this, to be a trusted local partner for families who aren't here. I can provide a free assessment of the property, photos, video, current condition, realistic options without you traveling here. And I can connect you with every professional you need throughout the Wilmington Estate Solutions network. They're all vetted, they're all local, and they're all professionals. And there's no obligation. I don't charge anything to coordinate and connect you with those people that can help. Thank you for watching. I hope this made the path forward a little more clear and hopefully a little less stressful. Reach out anytime or find me at wilmingtonestatesolutions.com.